Hello everyone, I am Abdullah Abuolaim and I'm going to present our paper about multi-view motion synthesis via applying rotated dual pixel blur kernels. This work is done with Mahmoud, Afifi and Michael Brown, and this presentation is for the workshop on applications of computational imaging that is organized in conjunction with WACV 2022. In recent work we have published in WACV 2022, we propose a multitask network that has single encoder and multiple decoders. This network is a single input model that takes the blurry image and estimates the two dual pixel views and the corresponding sharp image in a multitask framework and through three decoder branches as shown here. For that work, we trained the multitask network using 1D focus disparity direction, so the predicted views are always left and right dual pixel views. Then by rotating the input image and feeding it to the network that is trained on a single defocus disparity, we can get two sub-aperture views for each rotated image. In particular, we can synthesize multiple sub-aperture views from a single input image, and by alternating the synthesized views, we can get this nice new image motion effect or dynamite effect. For more details, you can scan the QR code of our recent work that first introduced the dynamite effect. Now, let me talk about portrait mode in smartphone cameras. Unlike digital single lens reflex DSLRs and mirrorless cameras, smartphone cameras cannot produce a natural shallow depth of field due to the camera's small aperture and simple optical system. Instead, many smartphones emulate a shallow depth of field via a portrait mode setting that processes the image at capture time. These methods typically isolate the subject from the background and then blur the background to emulate the shallow depth of field or bokeh effect. In this work, our goal is to introduce a modification on the blur synthesis unit in the portrait mode in which we can get a bokeh image along with the dynamite effect. Most smartphone cameras apply the synthetic bokeh effect using a common image processing framework. This traditional procedure takes an input image with minimal depth of field blur and an estimated depth map to determine the blur kernel size at each pixel. In some cases, a segmentation mask is also used to avoid blurring pixels that belong to the people and their accessories. Inspired by our previous work, we propose a modification to the traditional synthetic bokeh unit in the portrait mode to synthesize multiple sub-aperture views to generate the dynamite effect along with the output bokeh image. Let's see. Our modification enables synthesizing shallow depth of field along with generating multiple views by applying a rotated blurring kernel. In particular, the directional defocus blur kernel shape is inspired by the sub-aperture image formation found in dual pixel sensors. The input depth map is also used to determine the blur kernel size at each pixel based on a thin lens model, and the segmentation map is used to avoid blurring pixels that belong to the foreground. With our novel modification, or as we call it, Portrait Plus, we can get a nice bokeh image along with generating the nice dynamite effect as shown here. As for qualitative comparison, we provide the animated image motion or dynamite effect of different approaches. In particular, we compare ours with the results of the Facebook 3D image and the previous dynamite effect. In this comparison here, we have a large scene depth variation where the blur size varies from small to large. In this case, the Facebook 3D image exhibits noticeable and unpleasing artifacts like missing pixels around the foreground boundaries, while the previous dynamite effect produces pleasing image motion. We can still spot few artifacts that do not exist in ours. In general, our proposed Portrait Plus framework produces smooth motion transition and the dynamite effect with fewer artifacts compared to others. Thanks for watching this video. Another thing worth mentioning is that the IEEE PDF Express Validator doesn't allow the NPDF animation package. Therefore, we provide NPDF animated figures in our archive version, and you can access it by scanning the QR code here. You can also scan the QR code on the right to check our previous work that we first introduced the name at effect. Thank you.